It Happened on the Job, the podcast for relatable conversations with contractors. Sponsored by Goodman Insurance.
Welcome to It Happened on the Job, episode 139 today. My name is Mike. That's Brian.
Yo.
Today, our guest is Ophir Levin, owner of 911 Restoration of Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Great,
Doing
man.
great.
Thanks for taking the time here with us. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I like the shirt right there. Looks good.
Right? I mean,
Well, before we get too far into this, we want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by the Buildsters. Check out thebuildsters.com to find out how to become an accredited Buildsters Pro member today. You'll instantly become a part of the network of the best suppliers, manufacturers, and contractors in the industry, where you'll have the ability to showcase your work to thousands of qualified buyers. Stop paying for leads that don't convert and become a Buildsters Pro member today. Fantastic, man. Welcome to the show. We appreciate you coming on.
thank you.
So, kind of give us your story. How did you get into this? How did you get into the restoration business? And we want to hear it all.
Okay, so it's actually a very long and surprising story.
Perfect.
Love it.
We like those guys.
Yeah.
I actually grew up not here. I grew up in Israel, and but I have a family here, and I spend most of the summers in LA. And my uncles who were having me here during the summers are both contractors. And when I was 14, one of the summers, my uncle decided that I need to pay for
Paying for your room and board, huh?
I need to pay for my stay. He said, "Come on, you're gonna do some roofing." And he took me on a home that had a flat roof. With a ladder and the
Asphalt
mop
shingles.
roll
Oh, okay.
and a torch. And this is what you do today. I came in with shorts, not knowing what I'm up to, having trouble to get hair on my legs ever since. And that was my first $20.
So he actually paid you cash. It wasn't just your room and board payment, huh?
Yeah, no, it was. I got some pocket money from that.
There you go.
And that always attracted me. I was always a very handyman and stuff like that. But I evolved. I went back to Israel and I evolved. First, I was a military, of course, and some special forces and stuff like that.
In Israel? Really?
And then
That's awesome.
and then I evolved in the high-tech industry. And then I was actually offered a relocation job back to America. And I relocated I was already married. I had kids. And I was doing a lot of software and internet stuff. And then I decided to go on my own, and I hooked up with the franchisor of 911 Restoration to manage their internal software for job management and lead management and stuff like that. And then I learned a lot about the industry. I had a water damage in my home. And I'm like, damn, I can do this. This is so much more fun than sitting in the
behind a
office
computer
in front
all
of
day.
a computer.
Yeah.
And I started that business. First started in Santa Barbara, and gradually grew up from there. And now we have 3 locations, and we're in continuous growth.
Wow.
It's
It's
so
not a
that's-
bad place to be in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, and that's a
Jeez.
pretty typical trajectory for most people, how they got into the contractor world. So I mean, you're fitting right in.
Special
with it.
forces
Yeah,
in
special
Israel.
forces
Yeah.
and tech, and, yeah. So I mean, when you started, were you taking over an area? Did you buy an area from somebody, or was it somewhere that
No.
they
So
didn't
Santa
have? It was
Barbara,
brand new?
we were brand new.
Okay, cool.
It was a funny story. I started the business on my own. Of course I had a franchise support, but it was just me and a van and
sales and labor and customer service,
dehumidifiers and stuff like that. And then I went into one of my competitors, who was the biggest one in Santa Barbara, and I said, "Hey, I'm new here, and I really want us to be able to collaborate and stuff like that." I was very naive. And, but they were very nice to me, and they threw me a bone, and they gave me a small job that they couldn't. They just had too much of that day, because it's mainly emergency services and stuff like that. And that, fortunately enough, the small job was in a HOA board with the property manager and the HOA and the homeowner. And that created, and they're all very key people in Santa Barbara, and Santa Barbara is probably like the biggest small town, so it's very important to know the right people. And it just boomed from there. It was
that's crazy. That one little relationship, huh?
Yeah.
Kind of started everything for you.
That competitor was very sorry.
I mean, it just goes to show you never know, right? You might think it's just a small thing, and you get there and it opens up to something huge.
Yeah.
Or even just to make that phone call and ask, right? Or that other company, like, "Hey, can you help me out? Do you have anything for me?" And
I actually learned that making a phone call is not the best thing. Knocking on the door, saying hi, usually comes across better.
Well, I mean, I'm in the 5 minutes that I've been talking to you, right? You have this very jovial, welcoming personality, and it's in your face. You see it in the smile. I could see why that would work for you, especially like they open the door, they might be like, "Who's this joker?" And then you're like, "Hey."
Yeah.
all right.
Probably, yeah, and that's funny, because it's obviously a skill set that was probably being hidden when you were behind a computer, like in the tech world, right? Like,
you can't see that. Behind code and
right. No, so for me, originally coming from the very outdoorsy world of military and stuff like that, into sitting in a cubicle in a desk was a nightmare.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine.
And I so for years I was looking for an escape, and this is what this did to me. So right now we're like a bigger company. We have multiple employees. I'm the owner, and there is a CEO that next to me.
Wow.
We're as the owner, I do everything. I'm also the technician. I do the drywall sometimes.
Do you really?
Yeah, of course. I love it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, okay, think about like special forces, right? Like I'm not familiar with Israel's special forces, but my father was in the military. He was a fighter pilot, but I've always been drawn to like the Navy SEALs and kind of what they do. And I mean, from a day to day, a lot of times you're kind of out on an island, right? So you have to figure things out when it comes down, when it hits the fan. You got to figure out how to get through that, especially that whether it's a big or a small emergency. And if you're in combat, that's a whole different thing. So, kind of there's all these, from what I'm understanding, just from what you're telling me, it kind of makes sense that it comes very naturally to you.
On the fly problem solving.
Because you've been trained in that, right?
Yeah. So it's actually a very good training for this. And this is what I'm trying to convey to our guys all the time, because when we were working in emergency services, so our customers, in contradiction to other contractors' customers, didn't plan this.
Right. Yeah. They're not
so
happy to have you in their house.
They don't have the budget for it. It just happened to them, and it always happens in a bad timing.
Yeah.
So when you're have this life experience of things are not going your way ever, you really can relate, and you really have room in yourself to help those people and to be there for them also emotionally. You don't just show up, here's the equipment, start tearing down walls and this, but you know how to address the customer and to really hug them. In Corona times, it's kind of hard to hug them, but but to really be there for them and showing them that it's not the end of the world. It's actually an amazing opportunity, and things will help you work things out. So it's more than just we'll dry out the place, or we'll clean the fire out of this place, or whatever it needs be, but we can help you grow from this and actually enjoy it.
Yeah, get back on track. So what's the timeline from maybe say that the time you got thrown that first job to now?
So it's been 2.5 years.
Only 2.5 years?
Yeah, I'm very quick.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, what was the growth? I mean, was the growth plan? Was it did you say, hey, I want to take over these 2 other counties and we want to grow, or did it just happen and you kind of were along for the ride and making it work?
So after that first job, everything grew up very fast in Santa Barbara. At first I did everything on my own. I was in the van all the time, right? And I really felt that's I'm missing on a lot when I'm not scalable, and I had to recruit a crew, and I was fortunate enough to recruit some very professional, very experienced people that could teach me a lot as well.
Yeah.
And we have a very good and strong team. And San Luis Obispo was very near. We would get jobs from there because there was nobody there. So it was a natural growth. And then not too long ago, actually a few months ago, Ventura. So there used to be a franchisee that owned Los Angeles and Ventura, and they are not working anymore. And so I took on Ventura because it was closest to me in the growth. So yeah, we're growing very, very fast. And in this industry, it's very, very hard because when you work with insurance and stuff like that, so payments are always later. And you never really know how much you're gonna get paid because it's all negotiable even after the fact. So cash flow is an issue, and cash flow is very important when you grow. So it's been challenging, and especially in the first months of the coronavirus, you didn't know what's going to happen. But actually, it became an opportunity as well, because we went into COVID-19 sanitization for commercial spaces like the banks in Santa Barbara, and we did T-Mobile across California and Skechers across California. I did one job for the property management company that manages all those facilities, and then I got this job from the franchise, and they came and said, I don't care where in California, we want Ophir there. So
well, I feel like it's one of those things, especially at that time, right? When everybody needed things kind of done quickly so they could get back open, right?
And they didn't know.
Yeah, and they didn't know what was going to happen. So it was kind of like, hey, Ophir did it, and they did it well. I know he can do it. Let's just have him do them all, right? So they don't have to worry about figuring anything else out. So it's kind of those, right guy, right timing kind of things, but also like you had to perform to be able to do that, right? Because if you didn't do it well, I'm sure they wouldn't have been saying, hey, we want you to do them all. So it's
so I always look at myself and my feeling. How do I take the stress of not knowing what I'm facing, not knowing what comes next? All of a sudden, Corona, my wife suffered a lot for me being hysterical as a business owner, that all of a sudden people don't want you in their houses at all. They're scared of you. And so I know I could reflect that to the people that are in front of me, the other business owners that are using my services. And I could, we can, so it was very important for me to communicate that we can get through this.
And being relatable with them.
Here is the protocols that the EPA and the CDC published for us. This is what we're gonna do, and this is how we can keep you safe. And that mattered more than actually coming in and sanitizing, because they got some confidence that there is somebody they can talk to.
That's so important. Kind of relating and getting on their level, right? Like putting yourselves in their shoes and understanding that it's more than just a job, right? It's like you said, building that confidence in them.
Yeah.
That you can do that job correctly.
Yeah.
And that's
Very
like
fun.
the biggest difference between, we do constructions as well. We do.
Like the
We
rebuild
started
on the
with doing
residential
build
side.
backs for
Yeah.
the remediation jobs that we do. And then
Yeah.
people came up to us and said, oh, I saw this kitchen or I saw this bathroom and we want you to do this and we want you to do that. So of course we took it on, but it's so different than doing remediation again, because people, they plan for this, they know what they want, they had the time frame, they have the space. And with remediation that's not planned, it's happened usually on a weekend or overnight. And they have guests over, and how are we going to get through this? So the biggest part of your job is really, tempering them, letting them know they're in good hands, and we deal with this all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. So where are you guys at now from an employee standpoint? I mean, 3 different counties growing that quickly, I have to imagine the hiring process has got to be pretty.
Yeah. So we
growing
keep
that quick,
hiring all the time.
Yeah.
Initially, like in the corona, because of all the unemployment benefits and stuff like that people would get, it was very hard to hire
Tough.
people.
Yeah.
But right now we're a relatively big crew. I mean, for a startup.
Mm-hmm.
I think, let me count the people that are on the field. We're 18.
18 covering 3 counties.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So usually on the job, usually 2 people show up.
Yeah.
And then when we do the build back, so we have different skill sets. Everybody is employed in-house. We don't, unfortunately, we don't, to your listeners, we don't sub so much. We just hire good, skilled, experienced people that can communicate, that can deliver the message, that can represent. So it's very important for me that whomever I hire understands that they're me when I'm not there.
Right.
So it's very important to know what you're doing, but it's also very important to know how to talk and to know how to smile and to know how to communicate.
Well, I think, I mean, I think there's 2 different paths you can go, right? I mean, you can definitely use a bunch of subcontractors, and you could probably grow and do a little bit more work and be a little, you know what I mean, be a little bit more everywhere. But at the same time, like you said, you can't really control those people and how they act and how they interact with your customers. And if your mission and your vision is to be that calming voice and that voice of like confidence and relating with those people, that's a big hurdle to clear to make sure that those subcontractors, are on that same level with you. So I think it's smart to kind of control a lot of that and be able to control it, especially if you can find the skilled people to do that job correctly.
Well, yeah. And speaking to that, I mean, that presentation that your people are bringing in, that's part of the product, right?
Right.
And so speaking to that subcontractor, if you're subbing that out, they may or may not, come
Value
through,
that.
right?
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden your product is diminished,
Yep.
right? So if you want to keep a tight product, especially when you're going residential, and especially with COVID being the way it is, with people being so
Sensitive,
concerned, obviously it's different today than it was a year ago, but I mean, whether or not there's COVID, I mean, that's really important to be able to convey that process and to your end customer, your end user, so they feel the confidence. And like basically they're like mini ambassadors of Ophir, right? So they're all 911 restoration ambassadors. Yeah.
So where are you having the best luck finding these kind of people? I mean, you're not just hiring anybody, right? Like you said, you're hiring skilled guys that have a specific skill. So that's tough right now, right? I mean, it obviously was much tougher the last probably 8 or 9 months with, like you said, those unemployment benefits. But I mean, even outside of that, it's still pretty tough.
Yeah. So actually, in the beginning, it was more of networking, going to the hardware stores and stuff like that, seeing those people and offering them a job.
For real.
But it's
awesome.
not just that I offer them a job. I'm inviting them for a conversation, explaining them what I'm about, understanding from them what they can do, looking at their their phones and the pictures that they take from the jobs that they've been doing, and then taking them with me so they'll see my attitude when I'm on site. We did have some, so I can tell you a story that actually built me up tremendously in terms of service and created a lot of work for me. It was a sour store. So I did sub in the beginning for like smaller jobs or jobs that are not, like there was a property management company that managed residential property. There was a water damage in the bathroom there. We remediated, and then they wanted us to build it back. So we had to build back an entire bathroom. And I subbed it out because it was something that I was very busy at that time.
Right.
And they had already paid us, but then all of a sudden they gave me a call on a Friday night saying that the tenant came back to the place and he's very upset with the quality of the work. And I actually didn't have a chance because I was, growing fast and working myself on a lot of stuff. I didn't have a chance to look into that. It was done on Thursday. And I went in and I went in Saturday morning and I wasn't happy with anything. I was there, and I was there on my own with the property manager and the tenant. And I said, excuse me, but we will fix this. And I stripped down everything myself. I stayed there. I literally worked for straight 24 hours building everything back myself. And they were at awe. And he was like, so that property manager just spread my name over and over again to people. You don't understand this guy. He just stood there and did it himself. Everything from, and because it was very important for me, building my business is very important. So when people come in, even if it's a tenant, somebody would come in and say, who did that bathroom? And Ophir did it. Or
you want them to be proud. Yeah.
And that creates a lot of business for me. So I don't want to, or takes a lot of business away if it's not done right. So yeah.
No, that's so smart. I mean, that's an important lesson to learn, right? And it's one of those tough ones, right? It's a very kind of fork in the road kind of moment, probably in the growth of your business, right? Like how you handled that. I come from restaurant management, so we had the same kind of attitude, right? Like if somebody has a very bad experience, whether there's hair in their food or whatever, it's how you react to that that's going to ultimately decide what their experience is what they're going to walk away feeling about that experience. It's not necessarily what happened, it's how it's taken care of. And so I think I mean, you probably busted your butt being in there for 24 straight hours, but at the end of the day,
I had to make them happy, and I had to make it right. And
I think especially in this industry, there's a lot of people that are very proud, as they should be, right, of their work, but proud to a fault, in the sense of like, no, man, that's what you paid for. That's what you got. Like, it is what it is. And they'll probably do okay for a while, but ultimately that kind of stuff, I think, catches up with you. Whereas, those things you're doing might cost you a little bit financially, right, to make all those changes, and obviously, not be able to charge.
So in the short term, it costs you, but if you do it right, and if you really invest, and when you walk out the door, the customer is happy and smiling, and then also a year later, everything is still there, and so it actually creates a lot of business.
Well, I was going to say, you take that
profit for you.
You take that negative and you just say, okay, whatever this costs me, I'm going to turn it into a marketing expense. And you treat it as a marketing expense in that manner, right? And you treat them the way that you want, that they, above and beyond what they think they should be treated. And like you said, that network and that positive growth, all that, it is just a marketing expense at that point.
Absolutely,
that's fun. So where are you guys getting most of your work? Is it?
I was going to say, speaking of marketing.
Is it insurance work that you guys are getting, or are you guys being called directly from the homeowner, or where do you guys?
Right now it's so we have it's like a split between three. It's we get some insurance work and we get some directly from homeowners. and we get some directly from property management companies, like the big ones that have already heard about us, and know us, that we can cover most of Central California, and we do the work well, and some government work. We have Port Hueneme and Port Mugu in our counties and stuff like that. That's a good source of work.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it.
So for you, it's really about maintaining those relationships,
Yeah.
and I would imagine a lot with those property management companies, and obviously the insurance work is what it is, right? I mean, you're kind of on a list, and they call you when they
Right.
can, right? So let's kind of focus on the two other ones, right? The property management. What is, obviously, it sounds like, I don't want to say you fell into it, because obviously you did the work and you did it well in one of those first jobs, kind of getting connected with the property management. But what has it been like? What was your process been like, kind of reaching out and finding more of those relationships and kind of cultivating those?
So the property management people that I ran into coincidentally through insurance or through the homeowners realized very fast that when they work with me, and it's very important for me to convey that to them and make that I'm actually making them look good. That's very important for me.
Right.
I am, I don't know, Chris, the property manager, I'm his guy. He is amazing. He has an amazing book of business. If you let him manage your property and as something happens, he calls 911 Restoration. 911 Restoration are doing an amazing work. He gets a lot of business from utilizing me because
Right.
he looks good.
Yep.
And he does that. And the people that have worked with us, fortunately, have learned that. So they like working with us. They like contacting us, and they also like showing off, so to speak, with, hey, yeah, we have this and we have that with 911 Restoration, and this is what they can do. And we bring them to the table. And so that helps that actually pushes their business forward as a property management company.
So kind of, just creating that two-way relationship, right? Where you guys are helping each other out.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So from the residential side, are there things you're doing from a marketing standpoint to kind of get your name out there, so that people are calling you directly when things happen?
Yeah. So the franchise is like doing the PPC and the SEO and everything like that.
Okay.
I'm focusing a lot on getting good reviews from the people that we work with.
Yep.
And that helps us a lot with, people that go to Yelp or people that go to Google Business and stuff like that, and they see the reviews that we get from the work that we're doing. And so it's mainly from, online marketing people. Or we also have some referrals actually from, hey, my neighbor, we actually have a banner that says, love your neighbor as yourself. I also have that as a tattoo, but that's the point. Like, if you had a good experience with us, you will tell your neighbor when he needs help or she needs help.
Yeah.
And they will contact us too. Right.
That's awesome, man.
So cool. I mean, I'm really stuck on the quality of service and the referrals that you're talking about. Love your neighbors yourself. Like that whole idea. I mean, in a sense, you're actually, by putting in that quality, that time and that effort into the work, you're minimizing your marketing expense, right? You don't have to spend, obviously you have pay-per-click going on right now, and those are important, but you're not having to go over and above compared to probably some of your other competitors because they already know. And as your business continues to snowball, right? You're 2.5 years in now. I can't imagine what it's gonna be like 5 and 10 years down the road, right? So because at that point you're established, and even more so, I mean, that spread, right, in terms of influence than what you guys have had in the communities that you're working in. It's just super cool. I hope that when people listen to this, they can actually take notes and understand the importance, because, contractors are like people. There's good ones, there's mediocre ones, and there's bad ones, right? And so if we could kind of help elevate and show, if you put in the time, the effort, the work, the attention to detail,
and actually care. Yeah.
Yeah. Not only were you helping your business, but you know, from like getting more work later on, but you're also minimizing expense of what you're incurring now. Right. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
No, definitely. It's very, very important to do a good job, because a bad job goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Longer
Even more
than a
so,
good
I
job.
bet, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Even more so. It's like that negative,
Yeah.
critical comment sticks with you longer than 10 or
Well,
15
they always
positive
say,
ones.
I mean, going back to the restaurant, I don't know why I'm focusing on that today.
Well, it's a service industry as well. Yeah, yeah.
But they always used to tell us, like, a negative experience, that person will go tell 10, 12, 15 people that they had a bad experience.
Right.
Somebody that had a positive experience, no matter how good it was, they're probably only telling one or two.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, there's a much bigger impact on those negative experiences than even the positive ones.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely. It goes a longer way. For our industry, it's kind of actually easier than a restaurant, because people will come into your home or your office and see the work and then say, "Oh, who did this?"
Yeah.
If it's good.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. So what's the future look like for you guys? I mean, are you taking over all of California eventually? What's the plan?
The conqueror.
So actually, I take it upon myself, if I took the love your neighbor as yourself very seriously. So when the the previous 911 restoration in Los Angeles and Ventura lost their title or whatever, so a lot of different new business owners, new franchisees joined, and so I've taken it upon myself to help them also to grow, because I figure we're very close neighbors, and if they have a good name, it's a good name for me. Right. So now I'm taking a lot of time in helping them grow, while I have an amazing crew here that is
doing what you need to do, learning, and
they're doing an amazing work here, and
so you're kind of becoming like a mentor for the other franchisees. Is that?
Yeah, I love doing that.
Yeah,
it's fun, because it's when you start a business, there is so much hope, and there is so much dream, and there is so much enthusiasm into it. And when I'm lucky enough to expose myself to that energy from other people, it
kind of feed off of it a little bit, right?
It feeds into me and helps me keep the momentum and grow as well, right?
And it's so important too, right? Because to your point, there's a lot of hope and dreams and excitement at the beginning, but also at the beginning, like what you've been mentioning, all the lessons, hard lessons and cash flow and all the hardships that come with that as well. And so to have that positive mentorship, that positive excitement, to kind of reinforce, like, hey, we can get through this, right? We just got to work. We got to get it done. And this is how we do it. And you give them a path, right?
And it also helps a lot when you know that you have somebody to call and ask a question.
Yep. You're not on an island somewhere. You have a connection with somebody to help you.
Right. So it's and there is so much that experience can teach you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very fun, man. Well, this has been awesome. It's the energy, I think, is I can't. We're gonna screenshot that one right there. That
right there,
there too, man. It's
I'm trying to look at you guys. I'm trying to
it's great.
Like, I don't know.
The energy was awesome. I think this hopefully this episode helps out quite a few people, just to, if nothing else, just kind of change their mindset a little bit, right? Like getting through this as a contractor, it's not easy. It's sometimes it's not fun, but the right mindset and the right attitude can go a long way.
At the end of the day, it's all how you take it, right? Things happen, and then you need to translate it to your mind and control your breathing and say, okay.
That's the special forces, right?
That's
like,
so true.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're always dealing with that.
It's hit the fan. Relax. What do we do now? What's the next step?
Exactly. And what is the best thing that I can do in the situation that I'm in? And the growth will come from that. Just be positive.
Very cool, man. Well, before we let you go, give everybody your shout outs. How do we get a hold of you? How does everybody find you? How they can get in touch with you if they need you?
So you go to 911restoration.com. If you're in our areas, you just give a call to the number that you see if you're not in your area, so you help other franchisees. We're all in the same. So we have like a banner here. I don't know if you can see it, but it says like be the fresh start, and that's what the franchise is about. You know, when people have a disaster, we handle different disasters: fire, water, mold, trauma scenes, God forbid, cleanup, sanitization. It's never planned. It's never welcomed, right? It's not something that you want to have happen in your home or in your business. It always have a very bad immediate effect on you. So we are about giving you the fresh start from it, helping you come up from this bigger than what you were before.
Love that. Awesome.
Very cool, Ophir. It's been awesome, man. We'll let you get back to the day, helping the people and
with that smile right there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, man. Have a good one. Stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Great.
Thank you so
very
much
for your time, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you, Ophir.
Bye-bye.
And we're out.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you've made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like us.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And check out our website for more video content and extras.
While you're there, shoot us a message if you want to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.